All right, guys, it's still summer. It's warm, the warmest month of the summer season here in August. And I have one more fresh list for you guys. We're going to the house of Frederic Malle today, and it's a top 10 fresh Frederic Malle fragrances video today. Let me know if you're a fan of this house. I did a deep dive video on the entire collection of fragrances from this house up until the last release, which is Hope. Hope? Yeah, Hope. And yeah, it's Hope. I actually just bought a bottle of the 15-year anniversary edition of Portrait of a Lady. I'm going to report on that in another video sometime in the near future. But today I've got a top 10 list, as I said, of all the fresh fragrances from the house. So we're starting off with the first fragrance. It's called Geranium Pour Monsieur. That's at number 10. So Geranium Pour Monsieur, unfortunately, is one of my least favorite fragrances from the house. And it's not because I don't like the way the fragrance is created. It's because of well, I should take that back. I don't like the way the fragrance is created, utilizing a certain note that kind of triggers me or bothers me. This is a mint-focused fragrance, and the mint that they're using in this fragrance comes off a bit toothpastey or a bit mouthwashy in comparison to the naturalistic smell of the ingredients. So that's one of the reasons why I've ranked it really low in a lot of my videos. And here in the fresh fragrances list of Frederic Malle fragrances, it's at number 10. So it's created by Dominique Ropion, launched in 2009. It features mint, geranium, star anise, musk, cloves, cinnamon, sandalwood, incense, and styrax. Let me know if you're a fan of this fragrance and what do you think about it. Do you get the toothpastiness from the mint that's featured in here? It's an herb that I really love. I actually consume it sometimes in food, quite a bit in its fresh form, uncooked, undried, just raw after it's picked from an herb garden. But here, the mint is so toothpastey to me. It's almost like wearing toothpaste, which bothers me. There's nothing wrong with that. I think my issue with the fragrance is the fact that I'm so familiar with the real thing, and wearing a fragrance that's kind of smells like toothpaste acts a bit cheap. But for me, what does it smell like? It's a mint bomb. It's very, very herbal. It's quite a bit of geranium as well, which in this fragrance, Dominique Ropion has brought out its minty qualities, because when you take that the flower, the geranium flower, you can smell rosiness and also mintiness in it. It's almost like a combo of the two, but in an herbal form. But here they've added the geranium to intensify the mintiness of the fragrance. Sure, it dries down to woods. It does warm up in the dry down. I still consider it a fresh fragrance. You know, it does get ambery in the dry down, warm, spicy, a bit smoky as well. But that mint just bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you guys. Are you a fan of mint in fragrances? Do you like the idea of the mint in this? Let me know. Add a comment below. I guess if it went a bit candied, it wouldn't bother me as much, because mint and candy is something that I'm kind of familiar with, especially mint and chocolate. Not my favorite experience, but I kind of like it. So if this went in that direction, I would say it would be a bit more interesting. But the fact that it just smells like toothpaste to me is a turnoff, unfortunately. But let me know. It's ranked at number 10, as I said, in the Frederic Malle Fresh Fragrances list. This might be your number one fragrance from all of the fragrances I'm talking about today, but here it's at number 10. So the rest of the fragrances I enjoy, and I had a difficult time putting them where I put them. But since it is ranking fresh fragrances and what my favorite fresh fragrances are from this house, the fragrances had to be organized this way, unfortunately. Here at number 9, it's Eau de Magnolia. Eau de Magnolia also is a fragrance from the house of Frederic Malle that is available in hotel products. I think the Four Seasons uses this as a hotel product, and some hotels I've stayed at that are not Four Seasons branded hotels, off brands, but somehow have a, relationship with the brand or their distributor, obviously Estee Lauder. They also use the product, but I've stayed at hotels that have this product, and I think it makes for a great shampoo, body wash, soap, and things like that. To me, it's a simplistic, fresh take on the Magnolia, a bit watery and dewy as well. This launched in 2014, and it's created by Carlos Benaim, which is also an IFF perfumer just like Dominique Ropion, featuring notes of bergamot, magnolia, vetiver, patchouli heart, cedar, amber extreme, tree moss. But I think I took these notes down from Frederic Malle. I get a pepperiness also, and I feel like, even though this is kind of a dewy fragrance, I feel like the magnolia has a slight creaminess in this because I get creaminess from magnolia in general. One of the white flowers that gives me that kind of a creamy effect, but still, it's covered up in a lot of dewiness. I don't know where that's coming from here, but it acts rained on magnolias. Like if you've ever encountered that experience, or if you've kind of come across a magnolia tree and smelled it just after the rain, smell it. You get the kind of watery smell mixed in with the flower. And the flower has a bit of a lemoniness to me in general. The lemoniness comes out a lot when it's heating up under the sun, but they've captured that here as well. So in the end, I think it's a pleasant fragrance. It's not the biggest wow fragrance. I think it fits the collection perfectly. It's a very fresh floral fragrance from the house of Frederic Malle, created by Carlos Benaim, a longtime perfumer at IFF. I think he stayed at IFF all his life. I'm not 100% sure, but I think within the last 10 years, I think at least he's been at IFF. And if you don't know about this perfumer, he has created Polo, the OG Polo Green from Ralph Lauren. So he's got a huge catalog of fragrances, and you can also go and watch a video of his fragrances that I've done on the channel as well. I don't think this was featured in the video because I don't think I had it at the time. Maybe I did, I can't remember now. But if you want to find out more about Carlos Benaim, you can go catch that video. Of course, you can also go catch videos on Dominique Ropion as well. All right, at number 8, we're going to Outrageous, created by Sophia Grojsman. This one right here. This was originally a exclusive fragrance for Barney's, and I believe there was an exclamation mark after the Outrageous. I used to have the Barney's bottle, but I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. This one goes down pretty easy. I thought this was it's an eau de toilette. It is. It's what it says on the back. Yeah, it's fresher. One of the few eau de toilettes from this house. It's also not as expensive. And I like it. It's unique in the smell. It's slightly fruity, very musky, and also citrusy. It's featuring neroli, bergamot, apples, orange blossom, white musk. There's a crispness about it, the juiciness of the apple, which is a very ripe, but also green kind of apple, because the green has a very interesting fragrance in comparison to a red apple. So I like that they've captured that here. It blends beautifully with the neroli. The bergamot adds its juiciness. You know, this is probably a fragrance I should have added to the neroli orange blossom list. Somehow I forgot it, but I'm talking about it here. Let me know if you're familiar with this. It's quite unique for a smell. A lot of orange blossom and neroli, but I feel like the fact that they have the apples in here gives you this very unique smell combined with the overdose of the citrus floral notes and that juicy green apple. I think it's a perfect summer fragrance. It has a lot of musky notes in the dry down, but really wonderful offering, I think. And once again, Sophia Grojsman is also a long-standing perfumer. I believe she's with IFF too. Don't quote me on that, but I believe she was or has been. And Outrageous is definitely solid. Again, I had a really difficult time because this is a fresh Frederic Malle list. And you'll see what I've chosen as my number 1. But moving on to the next fragrance, launched last year actually. It's Acne Studios Par Frederic Malle. So it's fresh. It's very fresh, laundry fresh, created by Suzy Helley. It's aldehydes, frankincense, orange blossom, peach skin, rose, sandalwood, vanilla, violets, white musk. You guys like this one? This is an aldehyde balm. To me, it acts laundry, but it does get a bit deeper than your traditional freshie, like Outrageous. This is also an eau de parfum, so it is higher concentration. But aldehydes in this gives me that laundry-like smell. Sure, you get smokiness, you get the floral notes, slightly peachy, but I wouldn't say this is a peach fragrance. I think the peach skin kind of accentuates the aldehydic touches. It's a very unique creation. It gets deeper when it's drying down, but for me, when you first spray this, all I get is laundry, fresh laundry, linens, you know, blowing in the wind, hanging on the clotheslines and things like that. And it gives me that kind of a vibe. I think once you get through the first stages, the top notes, it starts getting deeper, woodier, smokier, and not as fresh, but I'm putting it here as a fresh fragrance. because it's very, very fresh up top, you know? Only the dry down is when it's gotten deeper, and it's like at this stage it's not projecting much and things like that, so I don't have to worry about it. But I think Suzy La Helley did a good job on it. Aldehydes are not one of my all-time favorite notes, so I'm not ranking it higher because it's aldehydes. It smells like aldehydes. When I smell aldehydes, first thing it reminds me of is Chanel No. 5. That is an aldehyde bomb, and this is an aldehyde bomb. I'm not saying it smells like Chanel No. 5. It reminds me of it because that fragrance utilizes aldehydes, and this is an aldehyde bomb, so it's utilizing a lot of aldehydes. Let me know if you're a fan of Acne Studios. And if you're still wondering why it's called Acne Studios, it's named after the fashion house Acne Studios. It's actually a collaboration between Frederic Malle and Acne Studios, the luxury fashion house. All right, next up we're going to En Passant, created by Olivia Giacobetti. Launched in 2000. This is one of the earlier fragrances. This is definitely one of the first drop of fragrances from Frederic Malle, and Olivia Giacobetti has been a favorite perfumer of mine, although she doesn't do much lately. I don't know what happened. I think maybe she's gotten old. I know she did both Philosophes and also Premier Figuier for the House of Diptyque and L'Artisan. Both of them, you know, like the coconut milky fig fragrances, woody green. She's known for those two and a few other very popular fragrances, and she was also part of Yunx, IUNX, the store next to Hotel Coast in Paris that sold all those very unique fragrances. That's no longer. But the most recent thing that I remember that she did were those 4 fragrances that were musky, clean fragrances for Zara, very inexpensive. But this is definitely a long-standing fragrance. 25 years ago it was launched, and it's paying tribute to the lilac flower. And you can extract the lilac flower, so it's a lilac accord. And what does that mean? It's usually created utilizing multiple different floral notes and probably other notes together to create the lilac smell. It's one of my all-time favorite smells, by the way. Absolutely love the smell of lilac flowers, although lately, when I buy them, they don't smell as good as they smell in fragrances because they pick them before they're ripened. And of course, it smells better on the trees, you know, baking under the sun. But this is lilac accord, cedarwood, white musk, cucumber, dew or water, and petitgrain with wheat absolute. Very strange combination of notes. It is watery. For sure, it's dewy. It's almost like freshly baked under the sun lilac flowers that's been rained on, you know? So it's a bit ozonic because we've got that cucumber note, and it's very watery, picked up from the cucumber note once again. But it's an awesome scent. Really, really great creation. It's just for me, it's a magical smell. One of the true gifts from the gods, you know, the smell, the flower, the lilac smells amazing. And even though you can't extract it, they've really captured it here perfectly. And for me, the lilac usually smells a bit almondy. Same thing with the mimosa flower, same thing with the linden blossom. They have a slight almondiness here as well, but so gorgeous, very fresh, dewy, watery, and ozonic and musky. Really awesome scent that she's created. Let me know if you're a fan of En Passant. Lovely scent. The next one is called Sale Gosse from the Fanny. This one launched in 2017. So I was actually researching these fragrances on the Frederic Malle website. This was completely out of stock. In fact, it wasn't coming up when I searched within the store. So I had to go to Google and search online, and it came up that way for some, I don't know why it wasn't bringing it up through the store. So is it getting discontinued? So Fanny also worked at IFF. A lot of perfumers worked at IFF. I didn't mention Suzy La Helley works at Simrise. Olivia Giacobetti, I believe, is Robertet, if she's still doing fragrances. Obviously, she is with the fact that she launched those Zara fragrances. But Fanny, I believe she's moved on from IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances. And from what I heard, she has trained under Dominique Ropion with Sale Gosse. It's neroli, petitgrain, bergamot, rosemary, violets, bubblegum, and raspberry. Slightly fruity, kind of bubblegummy, and it's going to be kind of similar to the next fragrance, also Cologne Indélébile. And I had a tough time deciding which one should be higher. I went with Cologne Indélébile because it's got a bit of the traditional vibes. This, to me, Sale Gosse is a bit more modern, when it comes to that kind of eau de cologne style. And I believe both of these fragrances were in the Orange Blossom Neroli video the deep dive video that I just aired on Saturday. If you didn't catch that video, please go catch it. But for sure, this is kind of a very modern take on that eau de cologne style. Remember 4711, Neroli Portofino. There's a bit of a cozy cuddliness about this. I don't know if it's the bubble gumminess or the raspberry that's in here, but you do have a lot of neroli, a lot of neroli with petitgrain, and of course the bergamot's juiciness is here as well. Now the only thing is the rosemary is mentioned here as a note. Rosemary is so strong for me as a smell in the herb form. I'm assuming they've got a very, very minute amount of it in this to do any kind of, assistance with all the notes. Otherwise, it would totally stand out. And it's giving it a bit of slight herbal C, but it's not interfering because, as I said, it's such a strong note. It could completely take over. It hasn't here. And again, it's a really wonderful offering. I had a hard time choosing which should be at number 5, which should be at number 4. So I went with Sal Gosse at number 5. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. All right, next up is Cologne Indélébile, as I said, from 2015, created by Dominique Ropion. And basically what he's done is elevated, amplified, and made a long-lasting version of that traditional eau de cologne style fragrance that we're familiar with, like 4711 or even Neroli Portofino. It's bergamot, lemons, orange blossom, once again rosemary, narcissus absolute, white musk. Both of these fragrances mention the rosemary. I don't know if that's something that the Frederic Malle website has just defaulted there, but both of them I don't get a very strong presence. In fact, in Cologne Indélébile, it might be a bit more stronger than Sal Gosse, because for me, Cologne Indélébile does have a bit of a slight mentholy kind of camphor-like touch, which gives it a bit more of an old school experience in comparison to Sal Gosse. But to me, it's just a dense, thick, intense version of like 4711. Super green, super fresh, super citrusy, and also soapy, which is what I forgot to mention. Both of these fragrances are soapy. But for me, between Sal Gosse and Cologne Indélébile, I get a little bit more of a soapiness from Cologne Indélébile than the Sal Gosse. Sal Gosse even has the violet note, and I think kind of like that strips it away from acting that soapy, the bubblegum, the raspberry, and all that kind of stuff. And I think those are the notes that made the fragrance a bit more modern in comparison to Cologne Indélébile. But Cologne Indélébile smells fantastic. I absolutely love it. So the top 3 is the top 3 awesome collection of fragrances. This is a Le Mediterranee. So at one time, I didn't care for this because it has a lot of marine notes in it. But for me, the lily is the magic here. It's such a great fragrance. The smell, I absolutely love it. It reminds me of Easter lilies. I grew up Christian Orthodox, so it was a very common thing for us to have a lot of lilies during the Easter months. It reminds me of Easter, and I am from the Mediterranean, so it kind of gives me the idea of that sea breeze, marine stuff coming in with the smell of the lilies. And for me, lilies have a bit of a spice to them in comparison to a lot of other floral notes, and I like that here. It gives me a slight bit clove-like touch, which I like because I love warm notes, warm spices. But this launched in 2000. It's Edouard Fleischer, lily, marine notes, lotus, angelica, orange blossom, ginger, and musk. Have you guys tried this one? It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely love it. I mean, when I say amazing, it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's a really nicely constructed fragrance. The lily is all in-your-face lilies. Reminds me a little bit of stargazer lilies, by the way, but I'm talking about those Easter lilies that we're familiar with. But there's also a watery touch. They've not only thrown in marine notes in here, they've thrown in the lotus, so it gives you a little bit of a watery effect with the marine kind of smell. But the marine smell is just perfect. It's not strong. It's just perfect. You know, there's some spice thrown in. There's musky notes, slight vegetal powderiness in here as well, but amazing smell. Absolutely love it. Again, lilies and lilacs, 2 really awesome fragrances from the house of Frederic Malle in the fresh category. Let me know if you're familiar with those 2. But we are getting to the top 2, and the top 2, number 2 fragrance is from Jean-Claude. It's Bigarade Concentree. So I always had the Cologne Concentree, and my Cologne Concentree has turned a little bit, but the Bigarade Concentree I recently purchased, not a tester, but I think it was a tester actually, come to think of it, from Joma Shop. And I'm addicted to this smell, but I figured something out after I got the Bigarade Concentree. It's created by Jean-Claude launched in 2002. And it's actually basically a similar formula to his Declaration, going into more of a citrusy direction. So to me, it smells like a lot of oranges mixed in with the smell of Declaration. So it's much fresher, not as dense, not as woody, but still we've got bitter orange here, cardamom, pink peppercorn, cedar wood, super zesty. That's what I like about it. Super zesty. And the bitter orange is juicy and yeah, bitter as well, but I wouldn't say this is super bitter. I mean, the orange also in this kind of reminds me a little bit of mandarin orange, which to me smells really great. But once you get past the citrusy touches of the bitter orange, it reminds you of Declaration. And I didn't figure this out until recently. I got similar touches to it, but I mean, I thought it might have some similarities. But once I started wearing Bigarade concentrates, when I realized that this, to me, is like a twisted formula of his previous fragrance for Cartier. But again, really awesome. I'm featuring it here at number 2 because it's super fresh and invigorating. But again, super juicy, very in-your-face oranges with all the spices, the cardamom and the pepper, and then the cedar. And it becomes cedar because cedar was present in Declaration, but there was not a lot of citruses. In fact, there might be a little bit, but it wasn't about the citruses there. Here, it's about the citruses. So I think he's taken the formula, amplified the citrus, toned down the other notes, but you pick up that stuff. If you like that, you've never tried Bigarade Concentree, I highly recommend it. Absolutely love it. It's Bigarade Concentree from the house of Frederic Malle, created by Jean-Claude Ilena. That's at number 2. And my number 1 favorite freshie. Even though this is a fresh fragrance, it's fresh notes, this is probably a bit more substantial. I'm talking about Synthetic Jungle or Synthetic Nature. Created by Anne Flippo, launched in 2021. This is super potent for a green, fresh fragrance. And it might remind a little bit of Lombardin Low. It might remind a little bit of Malamata, but fully in-your-face galbanum here with basil, blackcurrant, oak moss, patchouli, hyacinth, lily of the valley, almonds, and ylang ylang. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. This, to me, even though it's very fresh, feels like a forest, jungle, I should say more than forest, where it gets really humid and it rains all the time. So I feel like this vegetation, even though it's really hot and humid, has just been rained on and it's been cooling off all that hot and warm, vegetation. Gives me this kind of a clash because all the notes in here are very fresh. They're all green notes and they come off very fresh, but there's something humid, underlying humidity. So I feel like I get the experience of this major overgrown vegetation in a jungle somewhere in the tropics, and the heat creates that rain and it's been rained on. So it's a really awesome fragrance. Definitely my favorite fresh fragrance from Frederic Malle, and also my favorite fragrance overall. Well, no, it's a top 5. My favorite fragrance probably, it's Portrait of a Lady, The Moon. Those are top 2, but this is definitely a top 5, if not top 3. Absolutely love it, and definitely a great freshie. Even though, again, fresh fragrances can be potent. All the notes in this fragrance are pretty fresh. There's not a lot of warm notes like vanilla, amber. There's no like warm spices. They're all very fresh. The patchouli I still consider a fresh ingredient as well, even though it can get really intense, and long lasting is a key word for patchouli, but still it's not mixed in with vanilla or amber or resins and things like that. So the experience is very fresh. So yeah, Synthetic Nature or Synthetic Jungle deserves a number 1 spot. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances and how would you rank this list of top 10 Frederic Malle fresh fragrances. Add a comment below so I can find out. If you have a favorite here from Frederic Malle that I maybe missed, you might consider fresh. Like I was thinking of Rose and Queer, but since it becomes leathery in the dry down, I left that off, but it's kind of fresh up top. There might be a few other like French Lover, maybe L'Eau de Vie, but this is a kind of the collection of fresh fragrances from Frederic Malle that I personally consider fresh. But let me know, add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button, also the bell icon, so you'll be notified for future videos and you don't miss out for any of the videos when I drop them. And also a thumbs up for this video. It will help me get the video out there so more people will see it. Anyway, see you guys later, guys. Bye-bye.